Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel and my first video for Campbell's Cottage. I'm Alicia, I'm based in Australia, WA to be more exact. I am a young mum of a new little baby and my channel is going to be based mainly around gardening. I've got a lot to do in our garden and I have done a fair bit already that I'm going to share with you guys, and some handy tips and tricks that I've had along the way. I'm also doing some of the inside of the house as well, and we've done a bit of it, so I'll share that as well with you guys. From today's video, you'll see in the heading we're going to go through my succulents. Now, succulents were the first thing that really got me into gardening, because I won't lie, I am quite a brown finger. I won't say black because some of it lives, but not a lot. So yes, I'm going to show you all my succulents. I love my succulents, and this time of year it is summertime in Australia, and in WA we have had a bit of a heat wave the last probably 2 weeks, to up in the high 30s. We'll get better at knowing what that is in Fahrenheit because we're Celsius, but for today I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to show you just my potted collection so far, or some of it, and show you guys some of the ones that are really easy to propagate and how I've done that. And then you'll get to see my little propagating station, and as well as all the ones that I've just currently done, because I've done quite a few lately, because my animals have broken quite a few, or I've broken quite a few, or the postman. So yeah, there's a lot in there, so I'm just going to take you guys along all of that. Yeah, it's pretty hot today, so you know, things are looking a little bit sad out there, but you know, nothing a little bit of water later on won't fix. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. Please like the video if you do. Let me know in the comments if you think some of it was silly, boring, you know, who knows. I'm brand new to this, so please leave your feedback. All right, let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is my little station, which at the moment you won't see there's lots of succulents. Well, there is a few, but I'll show you some things that I've done that have worked and some things that haven't. Don't mind this fellow, it has been watered for a little bit, so I've been finding bottom watering, and these trays are super cheap and easy. So for example, these are some veggies, sunflowers, basil, and we've been having heat waves here, up in the 30s. I'll get better at learning what that is Fahrenheit, but quite high. We're Celsius. Yeah, and a lot of my seedlings that I've been trying have been boiling and frying. So to start off with, I've got this guy, which my doggies decided to snap off at the front. This one is one of the absolute easiest to propagate. So you'll see where he was growing over is quite big. He's got all these little roots here. So all I need to do is literally pop this guy in some soil and he will thrive. He has now been sitting out of soil, snapped off like this for maybe 2 weeks, and you'll see the colourings come quite out because the more sun they have, the more colour they get in their growth period. So I've got 2 of them that I'll just chuck in some potting mix. So this guy doesn't have heaps of roots, doesn't have lots, but he does have those couple of roots there, which means he'll be fine. Now, even if he did not have roots, he would still be no problem at all. All these flowers you can cut off. I'll probably just leave them because that's where all the seeds are. So if he wants to drop some, happy days. Now this guy is one of my new purchases. I've really wanted one, and I have seen if you plant this in a garden bed, it will grow huge, and I mean like huge. So when I bought it, some of the leaves snapped off, so I was a little bit worried. But look at all my lovelies over here. I have managed, so this one, and you'll see these couple have already got their little rows, and all of these 3 have really long root lengths. So that one seems to be quite another one, fairly easy too. Now to propagate them, all I did was I had them in here. Had them in this Chinese container, a little bit of moisture, and they went mental. So you'll see the same. So this little guy I accidentally snapped off when I was bringing my shopping in one day, and a few of his leaves broke apart. Now they have already started to propagate, so I've got two that I have. You'll see those little tiny roots there, working quite well. Some of them don't always work out, like these guys, maybe not. This guy hasn't got a root yet, but we'll see how we go. This one is off of this bad boy, or one like it, and he's still growing quite strong and quite plump, but we just don't have any roots yet. So I've kept him in there. We'll see how we go. So yes, this guy over here I've never propagated before until recently, because I quite like it. The snails absolutely hammered it and chewed pretty much all of its leaves off. So all I simply did was, you'll see that little nub there is where it did have one hanging down, and I have actually managed to propagate that. So these three, that's sort of how biggish they were, and I propagated and popped them into this potting mix probably a month and a half ago, and they're still really happy. I haven't dared lift them up to see what their roots are like, because you know, they're happy, we leave it. So one of the bad boys that is the best at reseeding / propagating is this guy. So I bought one of these, and I might actually come out the front and show you my original plant. And since then I have actually created, as you will see, many of these guys, because it is just that bloody easy. So this guy will flower like most succulents, so you'll see over here, little flower, that's what they get, and it will drop a heap of flowers. It'll, out of this, so we leave this will drop a heap of seeds, and it seems to regrow so easy from those seeds. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a good picture for you. And yeah, it just seems to reshoot from those seeds a lot easy. So I've had quite a few pop up from that. Or, for example, if a little head breaks off like this, oh, I can get him to focus. A little head like this breaks off, all I simply do is push him into the ground, and that's it. That is it. All we have to do, and they pretty much every time have lived. I just don't know. It's my favourite. It's my favourite of all. So bloody easy. Now, as for this guy that we talked about before, super duper easy. So recently, all you need to do is you just pull one of them off. Don't know if this guy's gonna do it because he's a bit sad. Pull it off like that, so it goes nice and flat. You don't want to break it and snap the leaf, you just want to pull it out. And then all I tend to do is lay them either on a tray, you could lay them into something like that. They don't want to stay too wet, but they also want to dry out too much either. So pop him down like that, take a couple of weeks, but I've just done a round of these exactly like that. Like I said, dog snapped that one off before, heaps of these broke off, so I thought, well, now's the perfect time to try and propagate some of them. And this is what I got out of it. So you'll see this little bad boy there, that is exactly, and so you see the leaves are dying. I was able to pull some of them off, so I moved them from the tray last week into this. But from that I got every single leaf pretty much has created a new little plant. So that's super exciting. So you'll see in my little collection, look, you know, that one, that's one of them that grew from a leaf like that. Same as all these guys. It's just crazy. This one, for anyone asking, chalk sticks quite easy as well. I generally try and chuck it straight back in the ground because it just thrives. That's quite a good one. This little bad boy, a little note, so I've got it up in there, you'll see where it's quite happy in there, is that's what it prefers. It prefers to be in a larger area, not too much sun, because then it does tend to dry out like this. Like I left these out for a little while before I'd potted them, so they're just trying to come back into their own now. But yeah, like I say, I'm pretty much a brown finger. Left that guy in that pot for too long. So let's go have a look at this one now. So this was a one little plant that I bought, popped him in a bigger pot, well, and he multiplied and had babies, and I've actually managed to pull, because this is called a pup, can just pull them off and plant them somewhere else, but I'm quite liking to have the mass pot. And I have a whole backyard, but I have a lot of dogs, so we're not sure. We have mother-in-law's tongue, snake plant. This needs to go inside. I did put it in my garden bed, and I know it didn't mind it, but you know, it's probably do a lot better inside. Like I say, off a pup, off a little leaf. This bad boy actually broke off, and I'm excited. It's the first time I've propagated that, and it's loving life, so very good. We'll talk about this guy another day. He's not a succulent that we propagated. Now I tell you, I'm a brown finger. I watched many videos of people talking about how you chop off the mother of the plant, leave the stem. This is gonna have so many beautiful babies. Nay. Mine did not work like that. Chop mummy off. Here she is in here. She's still living, creating another little thing, flowering away. However, the original is dead. It's not fully yet. That's still alive. But there is most certainly not any new ones coming out, is there? But I mean, off subject, look at this bad boy. That's a tree. That's decided to seed in there. Oh dear. Alright guys, let's go. I love this little guy. Let's have a look-see over here at a few more that were similar to this that I've chucked in a pot plant and are thriving. Just moved into the patio, so this is another guy. Quite likes being in the pots. I've got it in a garden bed that doesn't really get much water at all. It doesn't even mind it in there. But you see where it's hanging over, and it's got all these roots, so it's trying to find, it wants to go back in the ground. So if I was to chop that off there, I could stick that in the ground and that would root. Oh sorry, that would go into the ground because it's already got these roots here. So they're all down that one. That wants to go back in the ground because they've grown down, versus see all these high ones, no roots up in them. Then we have, so you like this chalk stick, just chopped it off. It was growing over the garden bed too much. Chop them off, shove them in the ground. See, these ones have already dried off. Pull them off, just chuck it into the ground. Just that first little bit, about that far. And happy days, no problem. Grow like mad. You can see I've got a lot I need to plant. It's just been far too hot. So it's better off to have it in here where it's a bit cooler. This bad boy, this one is so, fills out a garden bed so bloody good. It's not looking as full because here it's in a pot, so it's confined. But I've just chucked some in the garden bed, which I'll show you guys after, so you can see where I've cut it all off to chuck him in the garden bed. So simple as that. Grows over, cut it off wherever you like, about there between the leaves, obviously. Sorry, about there. And yeah, chuck that in the garden bed. Make sure you give him a water, and he'll be happy days. I will take a video about the front where what this like at its full potential can be. It's so filling. That's why I've put it up the back to help fill it out. And that way if it gets destroyed by dogs or whatever, it's not as big a deal. So again, this stuff, same deal. Got snapped off, chucked him in here. It's not filled out yet because I probably only did this. Actually, I did it just before Christmas. So it's not as full, and to be honest, haven't even really watered it. I think I've watered it once since Christmas. And it's still doing no problem. This little guy is a little bit sad. In saying that, when I bought him, he was teeny tiny. And then I bought some tulips, and they brought aphids, and they're not alive anymore. They just left an absolute mess on it. So you can obviously see from this guy that he, so when I bought it, it had just one little flower. And I popped it in this one because I bought one before and I killed it. I put it in a spot that was really, really sunny and it died very fast. So that's why I've got this guy in my patio, because he seems to much prefer to be in here. And then he just seems to sprout off his little guys. So I have not yet propagated and transplant this guy, but I'm assuming based on, how most succulents go, I could technically just pull one of these pups off and plant that. I'm not going to yet though, because I'll wait till this fills up the entire pot, and then I will have a play and an attempt, see how we go. I tend to find ones like this that when you pull these leaves off, they don't really tend to reflower from that, but we might when it, like I said, when it's bigger. I'll try and do that, and I'll try and do a pup weigh one of these babies and see what works better. Okay, I don't really have any others in here that have this little guy, this poor little guy. I had this guy in my garden bed, and the hedges that I planted smothered it, so it's worked very hard to come back. But let's just say this is probably, I've got two, let's say three that are like my all-time favorites. It's just beautiful. And this guy's definitely one, so I'm quite excited. I'm hoping he's just flowered. I'm hoping it's going to be very similar to that other one that I had that I said is like all time. This little guy down in there, look, it's just everywhere. Is going to be as easy to propagate, and also seeds. I'm hoping all these seeds will fall in here and I might get some babies. Look at this guy. I've worked so much. Can you tell I had him somewhere they didn't like it? I've just popped him in here and he's being shaded by these pavers, and he's finally starting to come back. He's beautiful. I don't know if you can see it, like a bit of variegation in him. I'm hoping it's kind of going to be a little bit like the one just before that guy over there. I'm hoping he'll be a big guy like that, but we'll see. Hey, right, I'm just going to show you my front succulents and the ones that I've propagated off of them. Actually, scrap that, we've still got one more in here. This guy, which he's not had as much sun, so he's variegation and he's just flowered, so a lot that were my bigger heads have all come to flower. But this guy, I don't know if you can see it, yes, the sunlight's gonna impact it. It has the most beautiful, it's just green and white variegation. Oh, I love this guy. I've been very nervous that I was going to lose him, but now I'm quite excited that he's flowered. And again, same deal, I'm waiting for him to get quite a few more heads, and then I'm going to see if I can propagate this guy just as easy, because it looks like he's from the same family as the one that's super easy. But you know, Mrs. Brownfinger over here definitely is not willing to risk it for one of her faves. This guy looks super duper sad, but at summertime this is what it does. I think they call it sometimes, like they call them the Chinese rosebud or something. This is what he does every summer, and then wintertime he'll open back up, and so will all these guys. I do have to be careful because he doesn't love lots of water in summertime, but he also doesn't like to dry out too much, or if it does die. So I will have to start making sure that come winter I won't water him as much as I am in summer, but I still need to make sure he's got enough, and then I'll come in and get rid of all that. But this guy's gorgeous. I thought I nearly lost him one year because I wasn't watering him enough. This big bad boy, he is gorgeous, loving where he's been. Getting nice red ripply. I don't have many ripples because I tend to kill them, only because I never get to buy many. But he has offsprung 2 gorgeous ones, so we'll see how we go. If he ends up getting too big, I will take these other ones out and just let him have this pot on his own. This one actually not getting much sun. Is meant to have quite a dark leaf. They just turn green, but that's okay. It's okay. And then we won't talk about this bad boy. I don't think he likes where he is. I think it's too much sun and not enough water. He's turned a bit clear, and the snails did go to town on him. Soz. Riding the bad boy. Sorry guys, I had to have a little break. My camera overheated from being in the sun. So remember over in that bad boy I had a couple little cuttings. That is from this. So I used to have this by my front door, and look at how much it overhung. It's just beautiful. But every time I got a big parcel dropped off, or people would come inside, if they would bash it and break it off. See, like this little leaf. So I've done sometimes where I just chuck this little guy on the soil or in the soil, he grows, or if a big chunk comes off, I grow the whole thing. That's a different plant. But that was one little one, and I don't know if it's meant to be a hanging one. It's just where it's hanging on by a thread, guys. Just those little bits are holding it on. So I mean, you know, if you hated it, you probably could maybe chop that off and chuck that in somewhere. I wouldn't dare try though, because that's holding that whole mother load. Yeah, it's gorgeous. I love this one. And then this guy, same deal, is a one little plant. Just gonna chuck him on, make sure he's on the soil there. This guy here, oh, make sure I just didn't just in the spider, is one that I moved, and being in the bigger pots, they just love it. Here's again grown over, because when I first did this pot, I did do it to sort of the soil level about there, and over time it's dropped off, and I just haven't been game enough to pull all these succulents up. Well, and whatever the hell that is. But we have a couple of different ones. So like we have this big guy. We obviously have this one that's taken over. And then one of those purple ones. This was where I didn't actually chop the mum off. I snapped it off accidentally. And this was where successful of many. That one, that one, that one. So they're all still connected to this. You just can't see it under all that. And then we see we've got now new ones forming along that. So the mama head of this is the one around the side that I just recently chopped and didn't survive. It had grown back a big long stem again, and this one is obviously the original that did. So I did contemplate pulling all of these off and trying to get them to start their own, but I just get a bit nervous when there's one that is my favourite and I'm too scared if it's going to survive. So I'd probably only pull one of them off and keep the other two, see if it worked. If it did, then maybe I'd pull another one off. Actually, there's 4. There's another one back there. But yeah, this is all living its best life, really. It's gorgeous. When it gets a bit more sun, I don't know if there's any bits yet, it actually gets a red outer border. But at the moment, it's just all green. But it's just got such different textures. So like the all bunched up, bit spread out. Then it actually has flowerets. I actually bought it like that. So it's like a flower. Because I love the rosette styles. And then I went mad. This guy, look, another one that was grown off of one cutting or a seed, can't really remember. And this is the original. So this is the very first one that I ever bought. It only had 3 little heads, one snapped off, chucked it in the ground. Then that year it flowered and spread its seeds, and that is where I ended up having them all grow on the ground. I was so confused, didn't know what was going on. But I was so excited, and that's where my love for succulents and propagating came in. We got this guy. You'll see like a lot of these haven't really grown that big. Oh, my camera quality's gone horrendous. What's going on? I think my phone's back up, that's why. Not grown very big. And we have these guys. I've not yet propagated these. This guy, I don't know if you can see, super doozy, easy to propagate. Literally, leaf falls off, a new one will grow like that. Like all of this. So easy. One of my guys that struggled is this guy. I have a feeling he gets a lot of afternoon sun. So I've got my hay in there trying to help keep it moisturized. I feel like he probably needs, look, to be honest, he's grown a lot. And if you can see here, little one's grown. That leaf there will. That's one that has, but I think he probably needs a bit more shade. He probably would thrive in my patio, to be honest. I did a hack that was on TikTok where you take all your plants out of the soil and soak them in a weak sea salt solution. I did that to all of these thinking it would help, and look, probably has a little bit. See there, he's really not very happy. But then we have got these ones that are sort of kicking off, so we'll see. Okay, I can't take too long because otherwise my phone will overheat again. But like I was saying, so this is some of the chalk stick that we have. Just chuck that in there, super easy. Now I'm a little bit disappointed because when I bought this, it was super tiny, like, you know, sort of that big, and it had this beautiful purple tip, and I thought that was a new variety, but it's just growing the exact same as the others. This one here is the exact same as this one over here, and the same as the one that I said I broke off when I brought my shopping in. As you can see, being in a larger pot, it has thrived. It's one of the key ones. This little guy, well, little I say big now, I don't actually know where he come from, whether he was just a cutting I shoved in or a leaf I broke, probably. This one is definitely one that I bought recently and it's loving it in there. These guys, as always, gone mental, hanging all the way down, so you could even put them in a hanging pot, and they would kind of like this, and they would love it, I reckon. Then I've got those little green ones, kind of like was in that timber thing. Love it in here, as you can see, because they don't get as much sun. They look a bit healthier, but they're also a lot flatter. This one is the one that was hanging way over in the pot. This was where the postman actually snapped a heap off and I stuck it in there. And then my poor flapperjack, I just, you know, this guy, I've had him for, oh my god, like 3+ years. Just never seems to get any bigger. Always had him in a pot because they seem to like a pot better, but then mine would die because I wouldn't water enough or something. But now it's doing alright, but one day when I go down south, I'll show you my stepdad's mum's and my nan, I guess. Her one is gone haywire and done so many pups. And then we've got this little guy. This is another variety as well, completely different. When I do my front garden tour, I've got two pots out there, which that's come from there. I think I said it before, but I'll say it again, like these more delicate little varieties, I much prefer to not be in full sun. I've got this guy, which this is all done out of all my own succulents, all propagated. Some haven't survived, some have. So you see this little guy, pretty happy. The panda thing, super happy. Those are the little green ones, which they tend to like a bit more water, but you still see their form. I don't know if you can see them. They've still got heaps of babies that have just grown. This guy, the big one. Yeah, this one not loving it. This one clearly didn't. And then some are getting knocked off. So that was one of them. So, you know, not bad. Only one didn't survive. Maybe two, maybe three. But see all those little babies there. It's still loving life. I love this guy. Don't mind the cobwebs. But I need flowers every year, and I need to try and collect these flowers because I think I've done once where a leaf broke off and it did not propagate. So I just don't know. I get a bit nervous to keep breaking leaves off, but I really want to try some more. I think that's enough for now. I will show you guys my succulents in the garden, maybe in a front garden tour. That might be a bit more exciting. This is just all my pot plant ones. Look how beautiful, the pink and the blue. Oh my god, I love. Yeah, so thank you guys. Oh, sun, bright light. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, when I remember and I break some more things off, or maybe when I plant all of that chalk stick, I might bring you along for that, and then I'll show you the backyard, some of the stuff that we've done that way. Alright, bye guys.